Hello, welcome back to Once Driven Forever Smitten. We're on with the blue Cavalier and it turns out it's a big project. Don't go poking holes in things, kids, it's never a good idea. But before we start, I'm just going to run you through some video clips of what was going on with the ramp in the last week or so and how the blue Cavalier randomly ended up down here and what it all needs doing as well. Fair bit of welding, brakes, timing belt, clutch, brake pipes. Oh, it's not great, but it's coming up for 160,000 miles and I've owned it since 2014, so got to put the effort into these things. Aye, in the words of Victor Meldrew, I don't believe it. Had the Vectra right up in there last night doing the exhaust, up down a few times and it was no problem. The GSI today though, this is not nice. Oh, what a horrible noise. Hoping that the motor hasn't jammed up. But obviously we're a bit stuck with the car being right up in the air, so at least the engineer's on the way and he shouldn't be too long. We can get the thing back down off the ground again, which would be nice. At the very least, it's a nice sunny day for November. Look at the blue skies, how bright that sun is behind me. Wonderful. Hope Mr. Engineer's not too long. I didn't really bring any camera equipment because I wasn't expecting to be doing any content. I mean, I know this is like sort of bonus content, but it's not the sort of content that I want to be doing. Place your bets, what do you reckon? We're on a £75 plus VAT call out fee and I'm still VAT registered, so at least I'll get that back. What's the most expensive bit? What could it be? Place your bets, £200 we could spend in here. On top of that, £1,000, somewhere in between. The ramps went up too high for some reason and mangled a bit of metal at the top. So now the key is to try and unjam it. Great. That could be interesting. Made a non-horrific noise there, which is nice. Way!
The limit switch is working.
Is it?
Aye.
Well, just total randomness then? Or are we just no sure? Oh, well, the limit switch is working, so no idea. That's it going up and a bit of bashed metal.
Sorry, I can't give you a
That's alright, I'm just talking into the camera. That's it going up now, again, so... There is something up with it, isn't there? That didn't seem happy there.
Aye, I'm not even reaching the tap limit.
Aye, well what I think we'll do, what do you think the best thing to do is? Get it serviced.
Aye.
Obviously can't do that today.
No,
Get it booked in, I will.
I don't need a servicing either.
If we mark it just where it's not to go at a height to the new,
right,
then I'll get it booked in for a service so I don't get caught out with it again.
Aye.
Well, that was a success. Robert and Ross for HGAS garage equipment came out and sorted the ramp within about half an hour. Top service.
Half an hour.
On this occasion it was.
Felt like half an hour.
Aye, well I hope all the rest of your jobs today aren't as physically demanding as that.
Aye.
That's brilliant, thanks very much for that. I'll put that in my wee video and I'll send you the link to it.
Nice, aye.
Aye, HJS, minted. Thanks for that. Welcome back to Once Driven Forever Smitten. It's time to start rebuilding the blue Cavalier CD with the 2 litre 16 valve because we've got something really special planned for it at the end of the year, which you're going to be seeing at the start of 2022. So it hasn't moved for several months. The MOT ran out in January, which I can hardly believe, so just going to go and see if it's going to fire up and then see if we can get it out off the drive and get it down the workshop. Right, come on, what's our chances? Fresh battery on it, brand new. not going to lie, I'm extremely surprised it started because it's been sitting for ages. That's a bloody good battery I put on it before I popped it up. I just put the wiring back on the coolant temp sensor as well because that had fallen off, so... Aye, let's get it in the workshop and see what it's all needing. It's been too bloody long. We have no driver's side electric window, so we're going to have to sort that. Oh, my voltmeter's run out of batteries and the electric window's not been working on the Cavalier, so what I did was I just put a bit of wire around the red wire, which is a permanent 12 volt live, onto the red and blue, which is the window down, and it didn't do anything. So I started smacking the motor. And it still didn't work until such times as I bashed it quite a bit with the snips, and then it did work. I want to try and get it back up now. Like grey-green to put the window back up, which I'm surprised at because grey-green's always illumination, I thought. So therefore, I'm going to have to get the grey-green wire and strip it a bit and see if we can get it to... Although having said that, if there's power going to it anyway, just try it off the switch, just try it, pushing it up. Oh, the roughness of it! We're going to have to sit and do this to try and... currently bashing this track again. Where's my GT85? I'm going to at least go and oil the mech. Well, it's going up and down smoothly now. Aye, so if your electric windows stop working, just take the door card off and smack that with whatever implement you've got to hand and your windows might start working again. Just going to give this a bit of a lubrication because it's been sitting for a long time. Your windows are going again? Nah. Still needs more hitting yet. Just you keep working, you bucket of scrap. Window goes up, window goes down. Window goes up, window goes down. Well, we're about 2 seconds into checking things and it's got worse. It snapped a spring, and not only that, it snapped an eye back. So that's expensive. So right, I'll have to order a set of springs for it. Wonderful. Bit of work to do. There's a hole at the back of the sill on this side. And you follow under the petrol tank to here. We've got a hole at the back of the sill there. And also I tied the exhaust up with wire and forgot about it, so there's that to do. Then if we go all the way to the front, we can see that there's hardly any jacking points left on either side, but I do have the new jacking points for it. The annoying thing is that I'm going to have to order a new set of springs for it because it snapped that eye back on the front, and they're quite expensive and done to order. So I'll just have to wait and be patient. Checking out this wheel, and I can feel just a little bit of play in it, and I've identified it as coming from the strut top. So I've got a set of strut tops sitting in there in the spares department, which I never use on another car, so I'll get them on it when I get the springs as well. Well, look, as we can see here, I've now poked a fetching hole in the sill and a big hole in our wheel arch and all. And, well, we knew this anyway because I've already got them, but the back plates are crumbling on it. If you're not familiar with old Vauxhalls, you're probably thinking, bloody hell, but this is all kind of normal stuff. And it was normal back in like 2002 when the cars were like just over 10 years old. But it hasn't helped that it's been sitting anyway, so we're going to have to go and cut a section of sill and get it in there and put a big patch in it, and it's going to need a fair bit of work. And I'm thinking, Probably about a week's worth of work in this, I think. It's needing a bit of refreshment work. There at the back of the sill at the other side, we've got a nice hole in there now as well. So, some more work to do. Didn't you be poking holes in it? I'm the only one that's allowed to poke holes in my motor, right? Well, because the ramp is jammed up again with the blue Cavalier on it, I've got no choice but to take the GSI up the road to get home. So hopefully it's going to behave itself. We're just going to go and put petrol in it now. And I'll have to phone up and get the ramp obviously booked, serviced and repaired, which I was going to do anyway, but Cavalier's stuck on it now. At least it's at height I can do some welding on it. Well, I did not expect to be taking the GSI home, but oh boy, did it ever boogie. Seriously need to get this thing back on the road fast, because it is fast. Anyway, the ramp moved down. As it turns out, yes, you do need to lubricate the thing. There's oil that needs to go in, the threads at the side of it, there's a wee sponge you check the level on, and there's also a grease nipple at the top, which should be done possibly like monthly, and we've never done it since I got the ramp in 2015, so it's my own stupid fault. No to worry. But at least the Cavalier's not going to be stuck in the air anymore, so I can get on with all the stuff, because there's all parts arriving at the house that I've been ordering off eBay, left, right and centre for it, so that's pretty good. Okay, so well, last week I decided I needed the car back on the road. There's things I want to do with it, and I knew it did need, well, the timing belt's not due to next year, but I'm going to do it anyway. But it was quite a surprise when we realised how much stuff it actually needed doing. I've spent a good few hours on it here, which we'll be going back through in a minute. I've just put a new caliper, brake disc, wheel bearings on there, taken the flexi off the rear, because it's kind of rotten, but as you can see here, I've got holes there, and we've got holes in the boot, we've got the jacking points to do at the front, so there's quite a lot of work to get this car back on the road. But it'll definitely be worth it, I think, so I guess it'll just be a kind of series of videos on going through the process of getting it sorted out. We've got some wrecked back plates, and the disc is completely rusted out, which requires wheel bearings to go into it as well. So I'm going to start stripping all the back brakes off it to get in about that, replace the back plate, the disc, the bearings, the shoes and everything inside will be okay. I'll replace the pads while I'm at it as well, because they'll need to be new. Okay, so I'm just going to remove the caliper bolts. I've decided that it's going to get a completely new set brake and flexis front to back, so I'll just let this hang there, I'm not bothered. I've got my new head torch on, so this will probably be a bit stuck on here. And what we're going to do as well is give all the new back plate a bit of a paint up. Come on, off you come. And the car really has gone downhill quite a lot with it being parked up. It was probably going to need these parts anyway, but you can see it. Much that's wedged onto the disc, good grief. That's well and truly jammed on the disc. I can't get the thing off. Gonna have to bash the thing off. Good grief. Right, well, see, I'm replacing the brake pipes anyway, so that can just hang there, I don't care for the moment. Right. Next up, we'll get the handbrake cable off. You can see there, the back plate's so rotten, it's pulling the spring, the return spring for the handbrake away with it anyway, so take that out. That'll still be alright, even though it's a bit rusty. We'll get the handbrake cable off. Well, the bearings are held in with a nut in here, which is secured with a split pin. So I'm just going to take the disc off because I can't get the handbrake cable off at the moment anyway. Nicely greased up in here anyway. So they're not that old, I did these not that long ago, but having the car sitting has just destroyed them. It really has. I mean, I suppose maybe not the best quality to begin with, but jeez, oh. There's a nut and there's a washer on there as well. Right, come on. You should just knock off of here. Can't have lipped them that quickly. And there we go, that's that off. Yeah, there's a little bit of a lip inside the disc. Well, I can't see it, but these are no good anyway. But the shoes inside are absolutely fine. So that's good. You can see this is a back plate here and it's completely wrecked. This is a new one. They're universal. And they'll just... Is it going to go over the shoes and I'm going to have to take them off? Probably going to have to take them off. But we need to get this thing off of here anyway. Because they're just kind of interference fit. They just push on. So we'll see if we can get something in there to remove them. Just using a pry bar, a hammer, and that seems to be getting in behind it okay. Quite glad that you can get these back plates because there was a period where you couldn't. They're available again. That's going to take the shoes off as well, so I'm going to have to take them off. But I need to get the handbrake cable off anyway, and I can't get that out at the moment, so yeah, I'll just get a set of grips and take the shoes off. See, if it's the first time you're doing shoes, it's usually a good idea to go and take a photograph of them, because then you can remember how it goes back together, because it's easy to forget. But these are just held on with rubbish grips. These are just held on with a very simple sort of setup. There you go. I think that's going to need a new bit on it, but that's alright, we've got those. Plenty of spring kits for these. There we go, yeah, just snap the end off it. And that's not all that uncommon really. Right, that should give us enough manoeuvring room to get that handbrake cable off the back now. So that's dismantled the whole thing. Still can't get the handbrake lever arm to come off the handbrake cable. It's just full of corrosion and muck. Jeez, oh come on. Come on. I have to go and get a grinder on the end of this, I think, to try and smooth the corrosion off the end of it. It will not move off of here without a fight. Okay, so we now just have the bare back plate here. Try and lever off the axle itself. I think that is coming, like, I think it's just going to pop off in a second. Yes! Okay, so one manky old back plate off. Now we're going to have to go and clean, get it spotless all the way around here, and hope that it's not corroded away to the extent that the other back plate won't sit on it. If it has, I'll have to put a little couple of welds on it to hold it in place. Okay. Okay, so we've got all this bright silver around here, and the back plate will fit on just nicely. I should just chap on there. So what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to put a bit of paint around all this and actually stick some paint on the back plate as well, because we obviously don't want them rusting out. Again, don't want to put them on as bare metal, so just a bit of spray paint around here to prevent corrosion, and I'll get some on this as well. So I'm just going to hit the back plates with some hammerite and leave them to dry off for a bit, and I'll go and move on to something else. I'll go and start building the rear disc assembly up, and possibly I may just strip down the other side as well while these dry off. I forgot to paint these, I should have done it the other night. Oh well. As the hammerite's as good as anything. It's not a show car, it's just we don't want them rusting again. End of story. So this is our early type rear brake disc. These are the ones that you would find on the Mark II Astra and Cavalier's pre-facelift. And they've got these little tapered bearings with the race, which needs to be driven home into there so the bearing will sit nicely. Usually I'll do that with a bearing press just because it's there. There's one front, one back. It's a bit of mucking about compared to the other one, which is just a sealed unit with 4 bolts. These ones are a bit more temperamental, I find. I've had to replace more of these. Of course, when the disc goes, you have to do the bearings as well. Okay, so I've got the disc in here, the race is in there, and I'm just using a black socket, which is exactly the right size, just to push this home, which is a nicer way of doing it than hitting it in with a hammer. If you've got a bearing press, you might as well use it, you know. Same again for the outer side. Start this off with this one and then change over to a smaller socket to push it home. Gets it started. Okay, so now we've got the races hit home, and I get some grease onto these bearings. Pack them out in there. Okay, so the back plate's on there. It's still soaking wet with paint, but so what I do is I just grab the little spring cup, not too tight, in the end of the vice grips, and then just twist it, and that's it. That's it on. You got to watch with these ones because these have got longer pins on them than some of the other ones. So if you had the wrong kit, you'd be really struggling to get them to fit. That's one on anyway. This is a handbrake lever. Oh, covered in grease. Ugh. And these need to be free so they move naturally. This one was cleaned off when I did it a couple of years ago, but I'm just going to give it a clean off again, and then we'll hit it with some more copperies so it moves as it should do. And this is the adjuster that pushes the shoes out. They're handed, so it wants to go facing the front, the nut facing the front on this side and facing to the back on the other side, so you're always flicking it upwards. You know, fell out again. Right, so you just, that's it sitting there all together without the springs on it, so all I need to do now is get this old pair of vice grips to tighten up. This one goes into here, oh, and hooks into there. Oh, get fucking in there. Get in there. See that? There we go. Oh, awkward. So I've just spent a bit of time on the handbrake as well because it wasn't that great. There's an adjuster nut on this which I've managed to get to move, and it now moves up and down the threads. That's how you get the position, the tightness on the handbrake, but you can see in there that's about to snap anyway, so I'm going to have to order a new handbrake cable for it. Yeah, not much can do about that. That's okay. Okay, well, can't do the handbrake just now, but I've got a lever all freed off and everything, so we can go and put the disc on it pretty much. I'm just going to get some copperies straight in about here. Yeah, I just get a bit of copperies in about the adjuster and the handbrake lever, just to keep everything from going all rusty. There we go, don't need much of it. And then we can put our newly built up brake disc on, which should slide straight onto the hub over the discs. Okay, that's us on there. Then the bearing goes in the front. I'm going to pack this out with grease. So I'm just going to grease in there. Put a big pin. Get the nut, which is still in the socket because it didn't want to come off, so it can just go straight back on, I guess. Now these only go just so tight, they don't go rammed right up. The first time I ever did one of these, I tightened them right up and nearly set the can fire. Nut on here gets tightened up, so it's just, you've got no play in the bearings, but it's not like overly tight. It's just so, that's what the split pin's for. And you need to check and adjust these at the servicing, because they do tend to need a little bit of adjustment from time to time. So the facelift setup is definitely better with the all-enclosed bearing that rarely fail. I think I've only ever replaced 2 and all the ones that I've had. But yeah, that's that, and I'm going to put some, I'll just go and scoop a bit of extra grease into the cap. And next up, I've had a look and we just keep getting further into it, but I don't like the back brake flexes anymore, so I'm going to replace them as well. But I can't get one of them out because it's so rusty, so I'm going to have to cut through the clip using my new air body saw. Okay, so here we have at the back of the chassis leg a rather unpleasant looking rusty section of flexi. I'm going to replace the brake pipes front to back when the engine comes out. I'm going to replace this flexi as well, because they're just old and I don't like that. I managed to get the clip out the bottom half, can't get it out the top here, so I'm going to get the air saw into it and see if I can get it that way. Managed to get the clip out, so the top part's out. Take this as some sort of compensator thing. That might be alright if I can get it to split apart from the rest of it, okay. Probably have to just cut the pipe at the end and have to cut it at the other side because it won't come out. At the moment it's seized solid in this bracket. A lot of rusty crap. I've got the brake flexi off and I've cleaned it up. And it doesn't look too bad, and I've got the rust off it, and I've cleaned up this compensator device thing. So I'll need to get this in the vise and go and split them off, because I am going to replace the flexis anyway. If you look at that, see it's got a bit of, they are getting a bit sort of corroded and all that, and the way that I drive the bloody thing, we can't be having that. So we're going to split these off. I wonder, because I bought flexis for the Nova, I wonder if they would fit this. They do kind of look universal sort of thing. Okay, so in the interests of keeping things all the same, I did put a new caliper on the back last year, and the other one was still alright. These are sort of Sab ones, so they've got these lugs on them. And they will do nicely for a Cavalier as well. They'll fit the same. Sometimes the pipe goes in the bottom, sometimes it goes in the top. You just got to make sure that the bleed nipple's at the right side. So put this nice caliper on and get it tightened up. Okay, so we're on to the passenger side now. We're just looking at this back plate. I think that's not as bad as the other one. Oh yes it is, it's every bit as bad. So same thing again, going to dismantle all this, take the shoes off so we can get the back plate off and get it all cleaned up, get the new one on it, repeat the process. Oh, there we go, that's went flying, that's okay. Pick them up again. Same again for this one. There we go, that's the 2 bits off the front. So we can just lift. So we can just lift this off complete now. Don't even need to take those apart because these came the 2 pins came out okay. One of them didn't on the other one. Of course we'll just need to check this handbrake lever as well, but that's okay. That's all that off in one piece. Right, and then it's just a matter of remove the back plates. They're pretty rotten, so they're not putting up too much of a fight. Yeah. They're very rotten. Hey! And that's the back plate off. I'll get the grinder in here now and get all this crud cleaned off. Lovely, and that paint's getting out a bit of extra stick there. Perfect. That's not exactly what it needs to be. I'll just go and run a little bit of paint around there as well so I knock some of it off. I'm just going to have a go at cleaning up some of this surface rust with the needle gun, which works quite well in that, but oh boy is it loud and really shakes it to bits. Yeah, you can kind of see the rustiness there. I think I probably went over it before with the needle gun, but we'll just go again and we'll get it. Now, well, you can see that. Okay, so that's the back plates and everything done in the Cavalier. Obviously I need to order flexis, I need to order a handbrake cable to finish that part of the car off, but that's a good start. Next time I'm going to get onto it, I'm going to weld a couple of plates into it, I think. We've got the back of the sills, inner wheel arches to do both sides, and the boot floor as well, plus the jacking points at the front. So there is a fair bit of work to do, but nothing that I've not done before. And it's all pretty standard Cavalier stuff anyway. That you need to do periodically when you're on these things. I'm going to take it off the ramp now, swap it round for the Nova, put the Lambda boss in it. Petrol gun in the Nova, you get a key for it. That's all, oh, that's holding it back. Would you believe it, but the ramp's broken again. It's about 1 centimetre higher at one side than the other, so we're going to have to get that looked at again. But as it stands, the Nova's on the ground, we can't get it up in there, we can't get the Cavalier back in the workshop now. There's other stuff that we can do in the meantime, but it's really not ideal, so that's a pain in the arse to end this day on. I have to go and just go and do other stuff that doesn't involve ramps. Bollocks. Right, so the ramp will only go up so far. Then it jams up. What are you doing up a tree? I'm glad so you can get back out it again anyway. Hello. I fully agree.